Tonight, head-to-head with Waiawa's mayoral contenders and all the glitz and the glam from the Silver City's Broken Hill Festival.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Tonight we begin our coverage on the key issues regional communities want fixed as we head into the local government elections. Speaking to mayoral candidates in Waiawa, our reporter Edward McCarroll asked them how they intend to support the hard-hit small business owners and revive commercial centres throughout the city.
It's a concerning sight for any regional city. Multiple storefronts in Waiawa's Main Street and Westland Shopping Centre sitting dormant with not many businesses jumping at the opportunity to fill them. Mayoral candidate Phil Stone says the current lack of local trade is concerning, but says the council has worked hard to bring back big industry startups to the city, injecting more money and people ready to spend, pouring dollars into the local economy.
I believe that once all these new developments start coming, we have a lot of interest right now in the business industry. There are new businesses coming to Waiawa.
However, local businessman and fellow candidate Tom Antonio argues it's not the city's local customer base that's causing traders grief, but the current council's high rates, saying there are plenty of customers in Waiawa, but businesses are forced to hike up the price of their goods here just to make ends meet after paying the council rates.
Businesses can't be saddlebags with putting huge rates on them. It just can't happen. It's hard enough with those businesses to compete with online shopping.
Antonio says with the employment opportunities and draw factor local businesses bring the city, they should be supported by the council, not hindered.
We employ local people and we've got to make sure those businesses in Waiawa continue to be given support to make sure they work through the next 5 and 10 years.
Yes, we've got those open spaces. Most rural towns have gone through that as well. Our other friends around the Gulf have experienced that as well. It will take time, but there will be a plan to redevelop a lot of these centres.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Driver testing stations set up in Wallaroo over the weekend weren't enough to deter some people from getting behind the wheel, allegedly under the influence of alcohol. Annabelle Francis has more.
3 men will be summoned to appear at the Kadina Magistrate Court at a later date, Maddie, after officers allegedly caught them doing the wrong thing behind the wheel. SAPOL will allege the first offence took place around 8 p.m. on Friday, when a 49-year-old man from the mid-north was stopped at a driver testing station, allegedly returning a positive blood alcohol reading of 0.184. The following night, at around 10:45, police pulled over the driver of an Isuzu D-Max. The 52-year-old man from the mid-north complied with police's request to undergo a roadside breath test, which allegedly returned a positive reading of 0.183. A few hours later at 1 a.m, early on Sunday morning, it was a case of deja vu for officers, after they pulled over yet another driver, a 56-year-old man from Davern Park who also allegedly returned a blood alcohol reading of 0.180. All 3 drivers lost their licence on the spot for 12 months, and their cars have been impounded for 28 days. With 3 licences lost in just 36 hours, Maddie, it's a timely reminder not to drink and drive.
As the skills shortage continues to impact the Spencer Golf, World Australia is calling for more educational pathways to make it easier to become employed. The CEO of the company says the Gulf region has plenty to offer, but there are just not enough people interested.
Up and down the Spencer Gulf, major projects are underway, from mining to construction. But as the skills shortage continues to cause shortfalls in South Australia and the world, the federal government has announced an increase in the migration quota to combat the growing crisis.
In Australia, by the end of the decade, we'll be 70,000 welders short, and the Gulf area will not be immune from that.
Well, certainly there's no doubt that mining has a huge opportunity here in South Australia. It's going to be fundamental for our transition into a greener future. Places such as Waiawa right here, this is where we're really hoping to make some big gains with green steel. Fundamental to that will be the skilling of the next generation to be able to cope with that.
A major shift to universities and the lack of selling trades to schools impacting the decline of new welders.
You can reach out and get young people excited by the opportunities offered by trades. Then you've got a real opportunity to bring them into the industry, and not just welding, but all the other trades which are important as well.
Mr Crittenden has called on the state government to invest heavily in TAFE. He argues simply offering free courses won't help if there's no extra investment, resources or staff. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Police are investigating a number of bicycle thefts in Waiawa. SAPOL will allege that sometime between August 11 and September 8, entry was gained to the shed at the University of South Australia's Waiawa campus and 6 Marlin Trek mountain bikes were stolen. Police say all the bikes are engraved with UniSA on the crankshaft and are worth around $900. Anyone with information regarding the theft or the location of the bikes is asked to call Crime Stoppers. It was a welcome return for the Broken Hill Festival over the weekend, with over 1,000 people descending upon the city. Celebrating all things Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the event attracted tourists from as far as Brisbane.
There was fashion, disco divas, and some glitter as well. Organisers happy for its return.
Oh, it was fantastic. We were over the moon to finally have it return, and a couple of years of COVID, everyone was busting at the seams to get here.
One of the original headline acts, Hans, wasn't able to make it after the Adelaide cabaret star injured himself performing on a cruise ship. But Kylie Minogue tribute show, 100% Kylie, stepped in at short notice.
You know, she's just posted that she said it was one of the best gigs she's ever done, and it was perfect for her 20-year anniversary. So, people loved her.
Some of the other performers are already keen to come back, and ideas for a lineup for next year are being thrown about.
No, nothing locked in, but lots of ideas for performers for next year. And certainly, some of our drag queens are saying, please, can I come back? So some of those as well, hopefully.
3 days of pure fun. It's hard to choose a highlight.
I suppose one of my highlights is our ex-local Zach Watt. He sings usually an opera aria on top of the stiletto shoe with the fireworks going off in the background. It's that sort of goosebump, I think, moments.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, the Mayor of Broken Hill talks progress on building a new park in the city. And a sombre day in Waiawa, locals pay tribute to those whose lives have been lost to suicide. Welcome back. Broken Hill City Council has begun community consultations for a park to be constructed in Creedon Street. It's the first step in the process that will see some facilities built in the west of the city.
Council getting out in the community, seeing what is needed for a new park and some other amenities. Creedon Street the target for where it will go.
So what's here is about getting consultation with the community to have a park or facility out near or in Creedon Street.
It was a promise during the last local election. 9 months later, the final stage is getting underway.
It's first passed at the January meeting of this year, so this is the first step. I'd encourage all members of the community, both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal, to have input into it.
Ultimately, the facility will be owned and managed by the Indigenous community. Mayor Kennedy not limiting the facilities to just a park or oval, instead envisioning great things.
An oval, place to kick, play rugby, potential opportunity for animals to be stored there and looked after. Gives you a great idea of the bush.
As for funding for the project,
I have no doubt that the state and federal government will go a long way to funding that, and we also, I'm sure at some stage, will be able to get some of the mining companies on board.
To give input on the park and facilities, you can contact Broken Hill City Council. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Waiawa locals placed blossoming pink roses in the ocean on the weekend as an act of love for those impacted by suicide. With both Are You OK Day and World Suicide Prevention Day recently taking place, organisers say the event was another opportunity to raise awareness.
A touching tribute to loved ones lost. On Sunday, the Waiawa Suicide Prevention Network held its annual Roses in the Ocean walk to acknowledge the impact suicide has on the community.
We give out roses as a symbol of those perhaps that we've lost to suicide. Also to help recognise that there are people living with thoughts of suicide who we might also want to support in community.
I think it's a really important event to have. It opens up a conversation. We make people aware that suicide is in our communities, so we can have those conversations with people and encourage people to actually ask the question, are you okay?
Participants were up bright and early on Sunday morning, meeting at Heidi's Cafe before local police escorted the procession of walkers from the main street to the foreshore to lay their roses. Organisers say many of the walkers return to the event year after year, allowing them to build a strong and supportive community in the process.
I think it's an important event for community, so we do see people regularly coming back each year, and we also see new people coming as well, and increasing the numbers of people coming together for the event.
Representatives from Headspace, Centrecare and Country and Outback Health attending the event to ensure locals know where they can go to get support.
So it's giving a sense of connection, but also recognising the ripple effects that suicide can have in our community and how we can come together to bring it out of the shadows and reduce the stigma around suicide and mental health.
If you or someone you know needs help, call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Meantime, Men's Shed Week wrapped up on the weekend as the organisation continues to expand across the Spencer Gulf. The event focuses on improving men's mental health outside of the big cities.
It's really where they operate in regional and remote areas. They come together as vital community assets and really become a hub for not only older men, who are typically Men's Shed members, but really adding value to the community and becoming a place where everyone can feel comfortable to drop in and have a chat.
With over 1,000 men's sheds across Australia, there's sure to be one near you. Stay with us. After the break, Port Pirie residents voiced their concerns about the state of the wharf. And the award-winning Indigenous art exhibition comes to Port Augusta. Welcome back. Port Pirie residents have turned to social media to raise concerns about the state of the wharf and jetty. Citizens mainly concerned about the section behind a popular seafood shop.
Port Pirie residents say it's only a matter of time before someone is injured. Residents are concerned about the lack of safety infrastructure. Council says it's on their radar.
The ageing population that tie their boats up there have to scamper down 2 to 3 metres to get into their boat.
Due to the structure's age and current state, replacing it could be a long process, costing more than the $2 million mark.
In hindsight, we probably should have looked a bit more wisely at it. We've had lots of surveys done on it and the jetty is in poor state.
Other issues Council would like to look at include leases for boat owners, insurance and the maximum size vessels the wharf can handle.
Vessels over 6 metres we can't really do because there's a weight restriction, particularly in the nasty weather we've been having lately.
Worried locals want to see the wharf's safety measures prioritised, with some sections missing security railing altogether. Residents discussing the wharf issue on online community groups, in hopes of applying enough pressure for meaningful change to take place before someone gets hurt. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Wanella Mackenzie has launched her new exhibition in Port Augusta. Called Nachuyata, the public display has sentimental meaning to the award-winning artist.
A new body of art from an acclaimed local artist. Wanella Mackenzie showcasing her skills from paintings to skins and fur. Her muse, the Flinders Rangers.
I was born here, so to be able to bring this home to my community and have my family come in and view it in this space is pretty special for me and just mind-blowing. I'm really grateful to be here.
Titled Nagachi Yata, or My Country, Wanella's exhibition was the 2021 Breaking Ground winner by Country Arts SA and has now come to Yatta Perthley with an impressive launch attended by local dignitaries and the Attorney-General and Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, Kaya Ma.
As an Aboriginal person myself, to see Wanella, putting our culture, Aboriginal culture, in such a dramatic and accessible way makes me feel really proud.
The Minister says events like My Country are signs Port Augusta's cultural impact is growing and boosting the city's image. The exhibition is open until September 29th and some pieces are available to purchase. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Prelim finals across the Spencer Golf. Who made it into the grand final? And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. It's hard to believe it's already finals footy time here in the Spencer Golf. Clubs gave it their all on the weekend, as Henry Millick explains.
It was do or die for football teams across the Spencer Golf this weekend, battling it out in the prelim finals. Clubs now securing their spot in that faithful day in September. Kicking things off in the Port Lincoln Football League, where both teams in the prelim final lined up arm in arm for a minute's silence, paying their respects to the late Majesty the Queen. It was the Tasman Roosters who bounced back, playing their strong brand of footy after going down to Marble Range the week prior. Centenary Oval saw good crowds come out to support their teams, but it was a one-sided affair. Tasmans were far too strong for Lincoln South, defeating them 88 to just 18. The Roosters came out firing, kicking 9 goals and 8 behinds in the first half. Lincoln South remaining tough throughout the entire match, but the Tasman defence held them accountable, seeing defenders Brad Masters and Dylan Smith named as the best players. Tasmans will go on to face the minor premiers and undefeated side Marble Range in the grand final this weekend. Moving over to the Spencer Golf Football League, which saw a much closer preliminary final. The minor premiers bounced back against South Augusta this weekend, seeing Solomon Town secure their spot in the big dance. However, South Augusta didn't go down without a fight, kicking 11 goals 7. The match, an arm wrestle until the end. However, Solomon Town's Jonathan Hayes and Corey Davies stepping up for their team, named in the best players. This sets up a much anticipated rematch with Brisbane next week in the grand final. Lastly, to the Waiawa Football League now, where Central Waiawa took on Rapina in another epic prelim. Again, it was the minor premiers that needed to respond, and that they did. Rapina came out the gates early and managed to secure a 13-point lead going into the fourth quarter. However, Central Waiawa dug deep and poured on the goals in the last, kicking 6 and holding Rapina goalless. Central Waiawa walking away with a 25-point win. They will now prepare for Waroona Bay, all set to be played on Bennett Oval next weekend for the league's top prize. It was a memorable weekend of preliminary finals, but there can only be one winner. With 1 week left of footy, we'll be keeping a close eye on who will be crowned premiers this weekend.
Some huge games coming up next weekend by the sounds of it. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, it was a bit of a chilly morning in the Spencer Golf.
That's right, Maddie. Anyone in Woodner, Snowtown, Clare or Sejuna would tell you it was hard to get out of bed this morning with the official temperature reading around 2 degrees. It feels like, as always, even cooler than that. Woodner warming up to 19 by this afternoon. 14 was the top temperature in Clare. Cooperpedia warmest centre, 24 degrees. Looking more broadly at today's weather map, 19 in Broken Hill, Port Pirie and Port Augusta. Waiawa and Kadina both reached a top of 17. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a high pressure system south of the Bight will move east to be centred over Tasmania tomorrow afternoon. Warmer northerly winds will freshen from the west on Tuesday and Wednesday. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas up to 1.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swell 1 to 2 metres. Tomorrow is looking warm. Port Lincoln having a little taste of summer, 19 degrees and sunny on Tuesday. Mostly sunny and 23 in Cleve. Woodner also mostly sunny and heading for a top of 26 degrees. Blue skies in Waiawa, 24 24, 27 and sunny in Port Augusta, mostly sunny and 21 in Kadina. Port Pirie won't miss out on the sun, forecast to reach 24 degrees tomorrow. Clare mostly sunny, set to reach a top of 19. Sunny over the border in Broken Hill, 21 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, and it's looking like a wet but warm Wednesday. Showers and 28 degrees in Port Augusta, 26 degrees in Waiawa, with a high chance of showers and thunderstorms. Rainy top of 25 in Port Pirie, 20 in Port Lincoln. Moving on to Thursday's outlook now, windy in Gubapiti, 24 degrees, partly cloudy conditions in Port Augusta and Waiawa, 23 and 21 degrees respectively. 21 in Port Pirie and Broken Hill as well, 17 in showers in Kadina and Port Lincoln. Finally, taking our first look at Friday's forecast, similar conditions to Thursday, but a few degrees cooler, 19 in Port Augusta. That's all the news for now, Maddie. I'll see you soon with an update. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Monday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.